Yes, someone did. Thank you.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Fairfield Township Zoning Commission meeting. It is Wednesday, May 18th, 2022 at 7 p.m. We'll do the roll call. Greg Philpott is absent. Robert Wilking, absent. Cheryl Ledbetter,
Yes.
Steve Weeks,
Yes.
Michael Jodry.
Yes.
So since Mr. Philpott's out, we're going to need the board to make a motion to appoint a chair for the evening.
I make a motion for Steve to be the chair for the evening. Steve Weeks.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Great. All right. Mrs. Ledbetter,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Mr. Jodry.
Yes.
I'll let you take that.
Okay. Everybody like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval for the minutes for the meeting from June 16th, 2021. Do we have a motion to approve those?
I motion that we approve the minutes from June 16th, 2021 meeting.
I second.
Ms. Ledbetter,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Mr. Jodry.
Yes.
Motion's passed.
Okay, tonight, public hearing for case FTZC 22-2C. Applicant is requesting a zone change for 3.33 acres of parcel A0300-026-000-044 from an A1 agricultural district to a BPUD, business plan unit development. The applicant is also requesting a major change to the approved preliminary PUD plan. The applicant is proposing to change the outside boundaries of the development to incorporate the 3.33 acre into the PUD. Recommend motion to open the public hearing regarding case FTZC 22-2C.
I recommend we open the hearing. I motion.
Second.
Mrs. Ledbetter,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Mr. Jodry.
Yes.
So if you intend on speaking at the meeting this evening, could you please stand up for the oath?
Everybody raise their right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I believe most of you have been to a zoning hearing, so we're going to breeze right through this. As Mr. Weeks mentioned, this is in regards to FTZC 22-2C. So the situation of the property is generally located on Princeton Road. It's north of the Princeton Road and Gilmore Road intersections. There's currently a 10.75 acre area that is zoned BPUD, and the applicant, as mentioned, is looking to rezone 3.3 acres that's currently zoned A1. The current boundaries are the 10.752 acres. The zoning that surrounds the property is shown on the diagram. There's A1 to the east, R1 to the north, and A1 to the northwest, as well as BPUD to the west and southwest. The applicant is requesting a zone change for 3.33 acres of the parcel mentioned from A1 to BPUD. The applicant's also requesting the major change to the approved preliminary PUD and proposing to change the outside boundaries of the development to incorporate the 3.33 acres into the PUD. There's a little visual of that. The additional area is due east of the existing approved preliminary PUD area. A little bit of background since this case has been to this board. Well, not this case, but the previously approved preliminary PUD plan. On August 12th of 2020, the Fairfield Township Board of Trustees approved the zone change and the preliminary PUD, incorporated 15 conditions. Those are listed in my report. On December 16th, the trustees approved the final PUD plan for Casey's General Store. This was approved for, which is approved for construction in the southwest corner of the development. The general intent of the applicant's request and the modification of the approved preliminary PUD is to increase the developable area and create more room and flexibility to potential users. Based on the applicant's justification, the increased size of the development has a potential to increase functionality and marketability of the development while meeting the development's previously approved standards. Let's see. So during this current submittal, the applicant has made a couple of minor changes to the guidelines that were set in place during the previously approved preliminary PUD. Those include that the tenants of the space will be required to make sure all exterior lighting within the PUD development shall have full cutoff lighting fixtures. And then also to increase the pedestrian connectivity, the applicant has also modified the pedestrian walking plans slightly. The applicant has also, they've also incorporated a hard surface of that pedestrian walking path. This is the proposal, shows Casey's on the southwest here and a few spec lots for future development. The detention on the north has already been constructed by the applicant, as well as drainage along the northern part of the property to that detention basin. An extension of the previously approved plan, the applicant is extending the buffer along the north of the boundary to provide ample room between the residential properties to the north. They've also made a minor alignment change of the roadway and then also extended it further east to incorporate the land that they would like to include through the major modification. The Butler County Planning Commission has reviewed these plans on April 12, 2022. The Planning Commission voted to recommend approval of the requested zone changes and incorporated 14 comments. Those comments are included in this report as well. So with that, staff's recommendation is this zone change and major change to the preliminary PUD plan in general provides a nice continuation of the commercial corridor to the east and to a place that Bridgewater Church is comfortable with. By utilizing the previous agreements made in the preliminary PUD and by continuing protective screening buffer along the north boundary line and proposing a buffer along the property line with the church, the applicant continues to improve plans that were previously agreed upon. The zone change to the BPUD of the 3.3 acres of the property, if approved by this board, would not be an endorsement of the precise location of use, configuration of parcels, or engineering feasibility, which would be reviewed in subsequent preparation of a detailed development or detailed site development plans. The zoning commission's recommendation will be forwarded to the board of trustees, who will review both the zone change and the major change to the PUD. It is the staff's recommendation to approve the applicant's request and incorporate the following conditions. To incorporate the condition, well, condition 1 is to incorporate the conditions that were approved during case FTZC 20-1C by the Fairfield Township Board of Trustees. Condition 2 is that no additional access will be permitted onto Princeton Road and must use existing traffic signal at Gilmore Road. Condition 3 is that the applicant will have to dedicate Princeton Road right away and replat to add extension into Bridgewater Church subdivision. Condition 4, the internal access drive will be subject to the BCEO access management and review when uses are known. Condition 5, stormwater management report will need to be updated to evaluate impact of additional impervious surfaces. Condition 6 is require the walking trail to be constructed out of a paved material and plan for pedestrian connection to the township park located north of this development. That concludes my report, unless the board has any questions for me.
No.
Okay. Move on to the applicant testimony then. Oh, yeah.
Good evening, everybody. My address.
Yeah, your name and address for the record, please.
Jay Stewart's address is 10307 Riverwalk Lane, Loveland, Portland, 140. Good evening. I've been helping Bridgewater Church for 4 or 5 years now, and when we started this project, I'm a zoning consultant, helping get to this point with us tonight with Pastor Drew with Bridgewater Church. We also have the developer of the church been working with Jerry Royce and Ryan Lewis. So, I think Chuck did a great job of going over really why we're here, what has changed. I'm going to just try to keep it brief. I have 4 or 5 slides up here. And stop at any time. I don't have anything pre-prepared, so if you have any questions, just ask me. Again, as Chuck said, the reason we're here is that the church was approached by Mr. Royce as a developer, and there was the request made to see if we could get a little bit more land done. That's the 3.3 acres. It'll be closer to, I think, 3 acres-ish after we dedicate that right-of-way area to the county. So that's why we came here. I will tell you that in terms of looking at the future, that line, as it starts to get near the church, that's pretty much in stone in terms of the church isn't looking to come back here anytime soon to expand this any further. Okay? This, again, in our discussions, again, this is outside of this body, but in our discussions, with the developer and internally, we want to make sure that since the church is going to be living there for the foreseeable future, long-term neighborhood potentially, we want to make sure that we have too much development on top of us. So we can say with a lot of confidence that yellow line to the right, that's kind of where it's going to stay. And I'm guessing that the only time that thing moves is when the church is planning to move with, right? And then something may happen. So I think this is what it's going to be. So again, you can see the new area. We can do the next slide. I put this slide in here, and it sounds like there's a couple new members here. This is what was approved in December of 2020, rather. And again, not much has changed. But what I want to do tonight is just highlight 4 or 5 major changes. But here again, you'll see the Casey's development down in the corner. That was just kind of announced at that time. Really, the biggest change is going to be if you look at cul-de-sac. That's Gilmore Road extension. Okay, coming off the signalized intersection. It was shown as a cul-de-sac. Okay, so really, with us trying to develop 3 more acres, that, as where Chuck was saying, that we now have a little bit longer Gilmore Road extension as it kind of goes over to the right. So that's the biggest single change between 2020 and today. So. Okay, and that's what we've submitted for this evening. So you can see where Gilmore Road now, there's still a cul-de-sac, but now it's going essentially almost touching the church, what will be the church property there, on the boundary line. It is our hope that this could be constructed in one phase. It could be a couple phases. Again, that's pretty typical of commercial development. We don't know, we being developer, nobody knows what's going to go there and the timing of such. So again, it could be a 1 or possibly 2 phase, Gilmore Road extension and infrastructure to take it back there. The other thing that has changed, you go to the next slide, sorry, open space. The other change, and again, this was us responding to the township's comments, is that we kept the walking trail in there, perimeter walking trail. It is now going to be a hard surface material. The first go around in 2020, it was approved as mulch or something to that effect. So it's going to be a hard surface. And if you'll see the yellow, I put that in yellow up right below the detention area in green. That yellow, as it goes over to the property line to the west and then goes up north, that is a walking trail easement. And what we're putting that there for is we want to preserve that land. Because one of the comments which we're, want to satisfy, one of the comments from the township and the county was to connect up the walking trail to the township park. The township park, if you look at the top of that detention, that rectangle, it touches the park, doesn't it?
Yeah, the yellow,
Yeah.
it touches the.
Yeah. So where that yellow terminates to the north, that is touching the township park property. Okay. And so what we've said in the plan notes is that the triggering event for when that connection gets made is whenever, we're just calling it conceptually lot number 5 right now, that one in the rear top left. When lot 5 or whatever is that lot in the corner, whatever that looks like, and that comes in from the final development plan, that will be a condition of that, final plan, approval. Okay. And so the connection will be made at that time. In terms of other things that changed, those are the 2. On this plan, there is a write-in only, not a laser, but if you looked, right, there you go. See that write-in only in the lot number 1, and that'd be a write-in slip access point. That is different than the first plan. Simply the first plan came through, that was just showing us 1 lot. It was going to be a corner lot. It was telling it to. So again, in terms of what's changed, I mean, those are really the big pieces. Zoom out a little bit, Chuck, here. I will point out you look over at the church parking on the right-hand side, so look at lot 3 where it says that. It's kind of small, but you'll see a landscape buffer, note right. Yeah. What we're doing, again, because the church has no intentions of leaving anytime soon, we've been, again, in our internal discussions, we've been very protective of the church and the quality of life, if you will, of the church. Okay? We don't want to do anything to degrade that. So we are going to, on our property, on the church property, we're going to have a landscaped buffer mound. It will be an earth mound with some plantings on top of that will be put in by the developer as a part of that transaction, but it's going to be contained and located on the church side. Okay. We were okay with that because certainly we want to make sure, but, well, I guess selfishly, we want to maintain it because again, that's going to provide screening for us on the church side. So it made sense. We have the property to care. Okay, so it doesn't harm us. The other thing it does is it gives the developer a little bit additional developmental space. We're putting that buffer area on our side. So again, those are really the 4 or 5 items that changed. We've kept all the design guidelines except for, the couple that we've added at township's request. We added a few more, lighting being one of them. And so, yeah, I mean, that's basically it. We are hopeful, that this is how it's going to play out. And other than that, is there any questions?
Are there any other comments for the applicant at this time? I'm assuming there's none against.
Somebody else, that would be a surprise.
Ooh, that'd be the wrong time to bring that up.
And Jerry Royce, 3951 Harrison Lane. I think the pastor did an excellent job of working with staff to make sure that this is going to be a good development board. If there are any agreement with staff recommendations to move forward as a development board on the recommendations.
Doesn't look like there is a question. There's no public here to speak for the record.
Okay.
Just put it out there.
Okay. Recommendation to close the public portion of the hearing, case number FTZ C22-2C.
I motion to close the hearing.
Second?
Second.
Mrs. Ledbetter?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Mr. Jogre?
Yes.
Well, I guess we're already at this part of the here recommendation.
So, board deliberation this time. So the board wants to deliberate about this publicly. No.
Well, it is, what I would say is as long as this is in the spirit of this, of what was already previously approved, and with staff recommendations that have already been put in front of us, I personally don't see any issues with any of what's been presented.
I don't either. It's been, I was here when this initially came through, and I appreciate the fact that you guys have belabored this long time to get to this point. I think everything that you've done, and you're listening to the staff and what our recommendations are and following through on those, I think that is commendable. I don't have any questions, any issues. I think it looks pretty straightforward to me.
Yep.
Back to me.
It's back to you. Yeah, unless you guys want to hear my comments.
Sure.
I also think it looks good.
Do you?
Staff recommendation, sticking with it. Yeah.
Well, I would stick with the staff recommendations. So I'd like to make a motion on case FTZ C22-2C to go with all of staff recommendations that have been previously spoken about, and to approve this motion with the conditions. Yes.
I second.
Mrs. Ledbetter?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Mr. Jogre?
Yes.
And that passes. Recommendation, motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:25.
I second.
Mrs. Ledbetter?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Mr. Jogre?
Yes.
Meeting adjourned 7:25.
That's the shortest meeting.
Stellar time.
And can we just say thank you to all of you, especially Chuck? You he's been great to work with, and we are blessed. This is really gonna help the ministry of our church, and we love being a part of Fairfield Township, so thank you very much. We appreciate all of you. Chuck, thanks. Thank you.
Thanks, God.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, good evening.
Have a great evening.
Hey, Chuck.
It's good to see you again. How
Good to
have
see
you
you
been?
too. Good. Well,
Good.
how about yourself?
You know what? Good for everything we've all been through, right? So it's been crazy.
Exactly. I'm glad, like I said, I'm really glad that you've
We've
Late
stayed with it.